Hey there folks, looks like you made it just in time for yet another marvelous anime video. As times have changed with advancements in technology on all fronts, the anime industry has felt its effects as well. An animation sequence that used to take months to craft can now be done in days, with images that have much higher fidelity than ever before. However, despite the progress made, I can't help but long for the anime of the 80s and 90s, with their hand-drawn cell animations that just felt so alive and full of soul. That was an era that was unrestrained by things like political correctness, where creators were throwing all sorts of crazy ideas against the wall to see what stuck. It was an era of trendsetters and pioneers that birthed some of the most legendary anime to have ever been created. However, there were also those anime that came out during that golden era whose lights were outshone by these very same shining stars. Today, in this video, I hope to bring these hidden gems to the fore so that their light too can shine once more as deserved. From space operas to cerebral thrillers, this list is full of anime that, for one reason or another, have been lost to the sands of time. So join me on my time machine as we roll back the years and uncover 10 forgotten anime gems from the golden era. Let's begin. Patlabor, the early days, 1988 to 1989. Let's kick things off with an underrated gem of the late 80s, which, considering the talent behind its creation, surprisingly passed under the radar of most fans and critics. Patlabor, the early days, is a 7-episode-long OVA that was created by the group Headgear, which is made up of industry veterans like Mamoru Oshii, Kazunori Ito, Masami Yuki, Akemi Takeda, and Yukata Izubichi. The story is set in a futuristic Tokyo in the year 1998. The invention of fully functioning mechas called labors has revolutionized human society. Initially conceived to aid in performing heavy-duty tasks like construction or working in hazardous environments, it doesn't take long for these machines to start being utilized for more nefarious purposes. To combat this growing threat, a new division of the police force is created called the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Special Vehicle Section 2. This special police force uses its own labors to respond to threats caused by other rogue labors. The word Patlabor is a portmanteau of the words patrol and labor, since the SV2 used them instead of patrol cars. Each of the 7 episodes tells a standalone story focusing on Nao Izumi, a newcomer into the unit, and how she copes with what is thrown at her while trying to keep her idealism intact. I found that the series does a stellar job showing the harsh results of mankind's overdependence on technology, and it doesn't shy away from exploring its much more mature and darker consequences. The cast we are introduced to are all very unique, with their own personalities and eccentricities that play beautifully off each other. The humor, in my opinion, is done correctly, as it adds moments of levity when required and doesn't go overboard by killing the tension of the series. Unfortunately for Patlabor, it was released at a time when the mech genre had shows like Zeta Gundam and Super Dimension Fortress Macross 2, all coming in around the same time. It couldn't quite capture the audience and leave its mark like the other juggernauts, and despite being a fairly good story, it was eventually forgotten by fans and critics alike. Give this one a shot. I think this OVA series will surprise you in a good way. Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1992 to 1998. When I first dived into this series years ago, I was looking for some good old-fashioned giant robot action, but I ended up witnessing one of the most intriguing, character-driven series to have ever been made. Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still is a 7-part OVA series that is essentially a homage to the work of Mitsuteru Yokoyama, which combines his entire body of work into an all-new story. The story takes place in a future where the energy problems of the world have been completely solved by the discovery of a brand new renewable energy resource called the Shizuma Drive. The series takes place a year after the drive's creation, following which everything on Earth is powered by this singular resource. However, there are those who are not pleased with the current state of the world and want to plunge it back into a much more archaic age. This group of criminals is called the Big Fire Group, who are responsible for a series of targeted terrorist attacks across the globe with the intent of destroying the Shizuma Drive. Their ranks are composed of super-powered individuals, the strongest of whom are called the Magnificent 10. What I loved was that each of these individuals have a very unique personality and reasons behind their joining the Big Fire Group. Standing against them is the IPO, the International Police Organization, created by the nations of the world as a response to BF's looming threat. They too have superpowered individuals called experts, who are recruited to combat the Magnificent 10 and other superpowered lackeys of the Big Fire. The protagonist of the series is a 12-year-old boy named Daisaku Kusama, who is an expert capable of piloting an ancient giant robot that could be key to turning the tide of this battle. As the story progresses, the truth behind the creation of the Shizuma drive and its creator slowly begins to emerge as the boundaries between good and evil become increasingly murky. Daisaku must decide who his true enemies are and where his loyalty lies, as the fate of the world itself hangs in the balance. This anime suffered the same fate as the one discussed earlier, being overshadowed by much more mainstream shows, which ultimately led to it being relegated to anonymity. Give this one a go if you like giant robots, but also stories with layered characters and political intrigue in them. Easily one of the best hidden gems of the early 90s, this is a must-watch in my opinion. Ki the Metal Idol, 1994 to 1996. The next anime on this list is perhaps the most cerebral series in the entire video. Created and directed by Hiroaki Sakura, Ki the Metal Idol is a highly underrated OVA series that consists of 15 episodes that have been divided into 4 parts. It is a dark sci-fi series that provides a scathing commentary on the manipulative and exploitative nature of society, where innocence is nothing more than a commodity. Sato presents us with Tokiko Mima as our protagonist, who is nicknamed Ki by her elderly grandfather. She believes that on her birthday every year, the old man builds her a new body that corresponds with her age. Needless to say, Ki believes that she is a cyborg that has been created by her grandfather. When the old man finally dies, he leaves behind an audio recording for Ki in which he tells her that if she were to make 30,000 friends, then she would become human. It's to be noted that throughout the series, there is no explicit information about Ki's actual biology. This mystery, in my opinion, allows Sato to set up intriguing moral questions regarding existential crisis and identity politics. Believing that she needs to achieve this before she runs out of power, Ki leaves behind her sheltered rural home and moves to the city in order to gain the key to becoming human. However, her untainted soul is confronted by the corrupted humanity that seeks to use her to validate their own existence and attempts to control her. Amidst this chaos, she does find a friendly figure in the shape of a failed pop star named Sakura, who becomes her unlikely guardian. Together, the two must struggle against the vices that linger within human hearts, along with a nefarious corporation and its leader, who believe that Mima is the final key to their experiments to create a robot with a human soul. Ki the Metal Idol is definitely one of the few anime on this list that got me thinking about it long after the credits had rolled. I'd recommend this series to anyone who's looking for an underrated show that will make you question reality as we know it. Macross Plus, 1994 to 1995. The next one is the direct sequel to the legendary anime series Macross, after which Macross 2 was retconned by creator Shoji Kawamori to be an alternate timeline. Macross Plus is both a 4-part OVA series and a feature-length film that takes place in the original timeline. 3 years after the massive conflict between the humans and the Zentradi, childhood friends and now bitter rivals, Isamu Dyson and Guild Bowman are reunited when they're summoned to test the next generation of experimental planes for the UN government that is set to replace the VF-11 Thunderbolt under Project Supernova. However, their personal distaste for each other gets the better of them as they proceed to wreak havoc on both equipment and surroundings during the testing. The tension between the two becomes even more palpable when another old childhood friend, Myung, joins them. We learn that Myung is working behind the scenes with Sharon Apple, the hottest pop star in town, who, unbeknownst to everybody, is actually an AI, and an incomplete one at that, whose emotions are provided by Myung. Due to Project Supernova not proceeding as planned, thanks to the antics of the two pilots, the government decides to scrap it in favor of another secretly developed fighter plane which can be operated without a pilot using AI. Things suddenly take a turn for the worse when the creator of Sharon goes rogue and implants her AI with a chip that grants her a malevolent personality. This leads Sharon to override the new AI-piloted plane system while trapping Myung within the Macross. It's left up to Isamu and Guild to put aside their differences to rescue their friend, while also proving that fighter pilots are still not obsolete as they take on both the unmanned fighter plane and Sharon in an epic showdown. The visuals in Macross Plus are, in my opinion, one of the most iconic out of all the anime of this era. It uses a combination of hand-drawn cell animation along with CGI techniques to create a product that has aged ever so gracefully. I think it's safe to say that this series paved the way for the incorporation of computer-generated imagery in future Japanese animations. Many fans don't know that Macross 2 was retconned, leading them to kind of ignore Macross Plus in some way. Outside of that, I can't imagine a reason why the series would be so forgotten by anime fans. Regardless, if you still haven't watched Macross Plus, take my word for it and go do it now. Armitage III, 1995. With the next anime on our list, I've got something awesome for you cyberpunk anime fans. Armitage III is an OVA series directed by esteemed Japanese director Tetsuya Endo that ran for a total of 4 episodes. The anime takes place in the year 2046, where mankind is no longer limited to living on Earth, having colonized Mars after terraforming it. Soon, the newly built city of St. Lowell becomes home for its first inhabitants, which comprise humans and Type 2 robots. As time passes, society functions under relative harmony, with humans and the Type 2s living in a symbiotic relationship. Enter the protagonist of this story, Detective Ross Syllabus, a law enforcement officer from the Chicago Police Department who's been transferred to Mars after an accident with a robot left him crippled and his partner dead. Joining him as his new partner is the daring and bold young female officer named Naomi Armitage. No sooner have the two partnered up than they begin investigating the murder of a popular singer whose identity is revealed to be actually a new type of robot called the Type 3. The perpetrator behind the murder soon makes it public that the Type 3 robots were virtually indistinguishable from regular humans and had infiltrated society for a long time now. He also reveals a list of names, which includes powerful individuals, alleging them to be Type 3s as well. Soon, pandemonium breaks out as humanity lashes out in fear, and St. Lowell is thrown into chaos. Ross and Naomi are tasked with getting to the bottom of this case before the city tears itself apart. However, as the story progresses, a shocking revelation is made that Naomi is a third-generation android as well. Ross and Naomi must grapple with a murderer on the loose while their sense of identity and reality begins crashing around them. The anime is a perfect cyberpunk buddy cop series that explores profound themes like what it means to be human, identity, and existential crisis. The series draws heavy inspiration from works by legendary writers like Isaac Asimov and William Gibson. If you enjoy strong, badass female protagonists as much as I do, with a narrative full of multi-dimensional characters, then this series will resonate with you. Blue Gender, 1999. I won't lie to you, when I first read the synopsis of this anime series before watching it, I was prepared to be let down by a Star Trek Trooper clone. However, I'm happy to say that I was sorely mistaken. So let me tell you what changed my mind. The show Blue Gender is a 26-episode-long TV series created by Ryosuke Takahashi. It's a mecha sci-fi series that recounts humanity's desperate battle against alien bug invaders. And in the center of it all is a young man who's out of place in time, having woken up from cryosleep to find a world as he knew it had ended. Yuji Kaijo, the young man I'm speaking about, is the protagonist of this series who is put into a cryosleep to prevent his death from an incurable disease caused by a rare B-cell found in his body. When a confused Yuji awakens after nearly 2 decades, he quickly learns that humanity is no longer the apex species, after they were replaced by a race of alien bugs known as the Blue. The situation has gotten so dire that Earth is no longer humanity's abode, as mankind now calls a space station named Earth-2 its home, from where it continues to fight the invaders. Humanity has been pushed to the edge of extinction, and the answer to their predicament may lie within the very cells that had threatened Yuji's life. The military at least seems to believe this, and is seeking out others like Yuji, whom they have codenamed Sleepers. However, before Yuji can comprehend his situation properly, he is immediately thrust into a battle and is made the pilot of a new prototype armored suit called the Double Edge, designed for sleepers like him. What I loved about this anime was the fact that it wasn't just about blood, guts, and glory. Yuji's fight is also to regain his love, his homeworld, and most importantly, to reclaim the 22 years of his life that he has lost. He must do this all the while not knowing what tomorrow holds for him. In shows like this, often the side characters are relegated to being cannon fodder for shocking deaths. But here, to my surprise, they were exceptionally fleshed out. This really went a long way to add gravitas to the situation at hand. Better than any macabre death would have been able to do. This is not to say that the anime shies away from violence. On the contrary, there is a lot of graphic violence on display throughout the series. If you're looking for a mature series that will surprise you with its depth while keeping you entertained with its high-octane action set pieces, then this is an anime I can easily recommend to you. The Irresponsible Captain Tylor, 1993. From a show that explores human depravity, let's move on to a series that explores the vast expanse of space instead, in a bit more lighthearted tone. Based on the light novel named The Most Irresponsible Man in Space by Hitoshi Yoshioka, The Irresponsible Captain Tylor is a comedy series that parodies the various tropes found within the spacefaring genre in anime. The show ran for a total of 26 episodes between January 15th and July 19th, 1993. The story set in a distant future where humanity has long since been able to traverse through space. In this era, we come across Tylor, a young man with a mysterious origin who seems to have no noteworthy goals or ambitions. However, what he does have, as described by some of his allies and foes alike, is the devil's own luck. You see, Tylor has this uncanny knack of finding himself in dire situations and getting out of them as if the universe itself conspires on his behalf. Oftentimes, he himself doesn't know that he's in danger. This bumbling, laid-back fellow stumbles his way through the United Planet Space Force and even manages to find himself at the helm of a destroyer thanks to his insane luck. From there on, we are taken on an insane adventure as he defeats ghosts and entire armadas, all the while allowing his crew to host swimsuit contests and getting drunk on duty. I assure you that this series is guaranteed to entertain you while having you wondering whether Tylor is an idiot or an absolute genius. You don't want to miss this one. Iria, Zeiram, the animation, 1994. This penultimate entry in my list today serves as the prequel to the live-action sci-fi film Zeiram. It establishes the history between the female bounty hunter Iria and the alien Zeiram, and changes quite a bit of lore from the film. To be quite honest, I hadn't heard of the film before I encountered this OVA series, so it was never a problem for me. Moving on to the story, it's set in a far-flung future where humanity has colonized space and lives on various planets, having left Earth eons ago. Our protagonist is a young female bounty hunter called Iria, who is employed by the Gomvac security company alongside her older brother, Gren. Together, they work alongside his partner Bob and another hunter named Fujikuro. One day, the group is sent on a rescue mission to a hijacked vessel called the Karma. However, what was supposed to be a routine mission turns into a horror show quickly when they discover that most of the crew has been brutally slaughtered. They soon learn that the culprit behind it is a mysterious alien that was supposed to be this ship's top-secret cargo. Having been discovered by Iria and her crew, this alien named Zeiram proves to be a nigh indestructible foe and goes on a fatal rampage, wounding everyone except her. Upon returning, Iria is afforded almost no time to grieve as she is beset by assassins working for the corporation behind the Karma. They intend to bury her along with their secret, which is to hopefully control Zeiram as a weapon. Together, with the help of Fujikuro, who escaped alongside her, and a digitized Bob, she must combat both the alien and this corporation while attempting to establish the fate of her brother. This 6-part OVA series kept me on my toes with its high-octane action from the first episode to the last, and I have a feeling it will have the same effect on you. This is definitely a forgotten gem that deserves its day in the sun, in my opinion. Soul Bianca, 1990 to 1991. The final entry in this list is an OVA series directed by acclaimed Japanese directors Hiroki Hayashi and Katsuhito Akiyama that tells the tale of an all-female spacefaring pirate group. They're basically a group of Robin Hoods in space who rob and steal, but have morals as well. Each of these women is extremely talented in their own respective fields, from engineering to weapon expertise. There are few in the galaxy that can withstand their might. However, things take an unexpected turn one day when they discover a young stowaway boy aboard their ship, which acts both as their vessel and their headquarters. The boy, whose name is Rim de la Paz, convinces the group to travel to the planet Tres by telling them that they will find the legendary treasure Gnosis there. Gnosis is a mysterious artifact whose origins are said to be tracked all the way back to old Earth itself. Unfortunately for the group, the artifact is being kept by Emperor Bartos, the brutal tyrant of Tres. The crew of Sol Bianca heads towards Tres as they prepare to take on the evil tyrant and recover this treasure for themselves, not knowing that their stowaway has more secrets than he's let on. Rim has his own reasons for visiting Tres, and he has subtly manipulated the ladies into doing so for his own personal gains, which are revealed as the series progresses. I was pleasantly surprised by just how much depth this series had when I first stumbled upon it. I was expecting just your run-of-the-mill spacefaring anime, but what I got instead was a beautiful story with complex characters that are very well developed. While this space saga might not be on the same level as the likes of Macross and Gundam, it certainly managed to keep me thoroughly entertained throughout its runtime. This one is an easy recommendation if you enjoy space operas, outlaws, and treasure hunts. Marvelous verdict. And there you have it, folks. I hope that thanks to this video, these forgotten or hidden gems will be lost no more, and I insist that you will take the time to check out at least some of them once you're done here. We might not ever get to witness another era in anime like the golden era of the 80s and 90s, but at least we can look back and bask in its afterglow. It's important that while we celebrate the legends of this bygone era, we don't forget the rest of the shows on whose underappreciated backs the anime industry was developed as well. Have you watched all the anime on this list? Or were there a few that you had never heard of? Do let us know in the comments. For now though, it's time for me to say goodbye. I hope to see you soon on the next one. Until then, stay safe and stay marvelous.